and what you do, just an introduction of who you are.
Okay, I'm James Gantt. I live here in Orlando. I relocated from Washington, D.C. in 1995. I became involved with after I joined the league in 2018. So I'm fairly new. I'm former federal government, retired from federal government, married, 3 children, and 3 grandchildren. Okay, I'm James Gantt. I'm a member of the league as of 2018. A member also of Grassroots Progressives, which is a partisan organization. Veterans of Foreign Wars, Vietnam, 1967 to 68. I guess those are the organizations that I actively participate in. Retired federal government, relocated from Washington, D.C. in 1995 and have lived here ever since.
What moves you to work so diligently at this point in your life?
Well, when I moved here, I became involved in the 1996 general election. 2000, I spent 2 months in Africa, touring Africa. So I missed that the 2000 election. But then I became involved again in 2004, 8, 12, and 16 general elections. I have always used information from the league. I'm trying to figure out what to select on the amendments. So I thought, well, if I'm using our information, I may as well go ahead and join it. So I joined.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. Thank you. So what exactly are you doing? I heard about you reaching out to your friends to get out the vote. Could you talk a little bit more about that?
Well, having canvassed the area of Silver Star on the north, Oak Ridge on the south, Orange Avenue on the east, and Kirkland on the west, I knew the area pretty well. I canvassed them 2008, 12, and 16. And so I know that you have to meet people where they are. Having canvassed the area of Silver Star on the north, Oak Ridge on the south, Orange Avenue on the east, and Kirkland on the west, I know the area very well, and I know the organizations and people who live there and so on. So I wanted to work that area. It's considered to be, quote unquote, underserved, which is a term I don't like, but that's what persons tend to think of it as. And so I decided to reach out to persons in that area. Now I began by going to the churches. There are a lot of churches in that area, and many persons who live in the community attend those churches. So if you're going to reach out to a large number of people, you start with the churches. And so I made an initial contact with them, telephone contact, and then I followed up with an email explaining who we are and what we are doing and how they can help get out the vote. And I reached out to all of the unions in the area. Again, you have to meet people where they are. Some churches have large congregations and they have online capability. A few churches are very small. So you have to really go to the church, talk with the persons, and given the hand with the union, for example, the painters union, the information you must copy it and deliver it there and out. So you kind of have to tailor what you're going to be doing depending upon the organization you're working with. You have to also tailor it to their level of understanding. Now there are a lot of persons there, low income, you might say. And so what you deliver to one group may not be the same as another group. Another thing also is that I know some persons who are um, Muslim, and so they wanted information in copies. So we did that. So it depends upon the organization what you do, but you have to try to find a way to reach them in a way that they would best understand it. There are 34 in that area, a lot of churches in that, but that's how you meet all of the people who live there. 8 churches are Haitian, and that's about the entire Haitian community in the Orlando area. Even though they might live to a different area, they all tend to go to those churches. So you can meet them, you can meet the community there. That's pretty much it. Just reaching out to people where they are, and which they can better understand it.
Okay, I understand. Um, and then another question is,
And why do I do what I do?
correct.
Well, I spent 42 years working for the federal government, so I know it pretty well. Persons don't tend to realize how important their vote is. Working for the federal government, you carry out policies that sometimes do not benefit the community, but you have to carry out the policies based on the party in power. Some information that I had to carry out, but if persons don't vote, then they are left with the results. And so I found the best way I can help persons is to encourage them to vote their issues. Again, I've been doing this since 1996, and talking with persons, you'd be surprised how little persons know about the issues, even though they're being discussed, and the issues which adversely impact them. So someone has to get out and help them find their way, for lack of a better term.
Okay. So my question to you, Mr. Gantt, is I, I'm trying to put myself in your shoes and go out to communities and talk with people. And I can't help but to feel that there's going to be a lot of times in which I feel discouraged. I mean, what you've done and what you are doing is very powerful, but I don't understand how you are so effective. Whereas if I feel like if I did the same thing, people would just say, no, thanks. I don't want to hear from you. And I think that the key here is that you're saying that you meet people where they are. So with that, I don't know if you have any words of encouragement. Like I'm trying to personally put myself in your shoes, and I don't think that I would have the same results.
Of course you do. For example, I always um, tell persons when you're going to the team leaders, when you're going to um, deploy your volunteers, you just don't put out a warm body. You have to place them where they can be. There are some areas in Orlando which are tough neighborhoods. When I was doing canvassing, I told my team leader, you want to put out, we had veterans in our group. You want to assign veterans in that. There were many persons, or many communities we went to that were very, very, very Tea Party, you might say. So those of us who are veterans, when we go out, we would wear our Veterans of Foreign Wars caps and so on. Even though the persons there were hostile to the candidate, they were respectful of that Veterans of Foreign Wars uh, paraphernalia. And so we had no difficulty. You also need to know that there are many homes in this area, uh, single women. You don't want to assign a man to do your phone back. If she hears this male baritone voice coming through, she might not want to talk with you. So I always tell persons, you want to, as much as you can, assign a woman to that because they'll feel less intimidated. So you have to apply assigned person they could best fit. And you got to have patience because persons, while we here understand very well voting and what's required and so on and so on, this person may not. So you have to be very, very patient with their understanding, which may not be at our level. When you're canvassing, you have 30 seconds, really, the time allotted for a TV commercial, I always say, to make your point. Otherwise, you will lose, the person will just lose interest or become really irritated. So what you're going to say, you write it out, memorize it, say it in a way which is not intimidated, and generally a person will listen to even longer. But if you have a long, long, long dissertation, they'll tune you out, and you will lose that potential supporter. So it's something that while following the military. Military can take a person with very minimal education and teach them how to operate $1 million equipment. As one person told me, the military can effectively train idiots because they know how to reach out to persons where they are. And that's the key. You got to meet people where they are.
Okay, so do you mind me telling me one of your example openings? Imagine that you are in one of those um, underserved communities that you had just mentioned towards the beginning of this interview. What is one of your opening comments within your 30 seconds?
Well, I might say something like, let's say I'm working with, as partisan though, with Biden. And I'll tell them, hi, I'm Jim Gantt. I'm working with the Biden-Harris campaign. Joe Biden grew up like you and I. He's had some difficulties. Father lost his job, had to move. So they grew up pretty much in the same vein as you and I. And he's a good man. So I will start off a little bit about the person. Even like I'm trying to find person to join the league. A little bit about what the league is and what it does. Just 10 seconds of that, and then go into whatever I need to tell them.
Okay, okay. So what, um, let's see here. I don't know if you answered this, but maybe I should ask this question first. Why are you doing this?
Again, this is the most consequential election, at least in my lifetime. There's so much at stake, not just socially, but I'm looking at it from international. We are losing our allies. And if you are military or have been, you know the importance of that, of having allies. If you become involved, you being the U.S. becomes involved in a conflict, you don't want to go into a conflict alone. You need to have other persons working with. They may not be actually in combat with you, but they help you with logistics, with intelligence, and so on. So I'm looking at it from the standpoint of we're losing our allies. They don't trust us anymore. Um, Good example of us working with the Kurds in the Middle East and walking away and leaving them high and dry. And now they don't trust us. We have to rebuild that trust. That's so very important. I served in Vietnam, and when the war ended, the persons who helped us out so much that I worked with, that is they call them mountain yards. Actually, the mountain yards are just mountain people in Vietnam. They helped us out with the intelligence of the Viet Cong's movement. When we left Vietnam, left them high and dry. Viet Cong came in and slaughtered them. You didn't get a lot of that on the news, but it happened. So nobody trusts us. We have to get back to a point where we can gain the trust again of other nations. We have to be mindful of the fact that we're not on this planet alone. Our vote that we cast here affects not only us here in Orlando or in Florida or in the US, but it's going to affect the world. It's that important. So if persons understand the trying to say about the alliance aspect, but we need alliances. We have some very powerful adversaries. And the first thing you want to do if you're an adversary is to separate you from your allies. Once you've done that and you have your adversary isolated, you can pretty much control what you can do with them. Other needs its allies. And I want to do all I can to ensure that we get back to that point where our allies trust us on them. If nothing else happens out of this election, that's what I want.
Why did you join the league? And also, why do you vote?
Okay. I think back in I think in 2000, I was having difficulty figuring out the amendments. A neighbor told me, try the League of Women Voters. They have a website that can give you some information on that. Okay, so I tried that, and it worked. I tried it again in 2012. Then I thought, wait a minute, somebody's paying for this. So then I started donating when I got them. And then in 20, I happened to just start coming through the website. And then I saw men there also. It's not just women. So I thought I would join it. I mean, I'm using their information, so I ought at least become a part of it. So I joined the league. That's pretty much how I became involved. I guess my And the work that I do, I'm retired, so I have time. So I phone. So I have time. So I can devote some time to the league.
So,
So far as why I vote, I began voting when I was well. First of all, back when I grew up, you took citizenship class, and so as a result, I knew about voting. I became an adult. I started voting automatically. It was just something that I just grew up with. I'm sorry today, kids don't get training in citizenship, and they don't know the importance of voting. So I try to at least share with them the importance of it. It's if you don't vote, you can't complain. You have to accept what comes to you.
all right. And what year was it that you joined the league?
2018.
All right, sounds great. All right. Do you have any advice to tell other people to get out to vote?
Um, I couldn't say it better than um, First Lady Obama, Michelle Obama said, vote like your life depended on it. Because it does.
All right, thank you very much. Um, Thank you very much, Mr. Gantt. Thank you. All right, I'm gonna wrap this up because I know that my timer is gonna go off and I'm sure you have a lot of things. You might wanna turn your ringer up high again for the